you're watching the Daily Roundup by People's Dispatch, where we bring you some of the top stories from around the world. Let's take a look at the headlines. Turkey accused of war crimes after drone strike kills 5 in Iraqi Kurdistan. Palestinian administrative detainees on hunger strike in critical condition. Moroccan security forces violently attack leftist party protests. Brazilian judge orders removal of false news, disinformation on Lula. Turkey stands accused of war crimes after Turkish forces on July 17 launched a drone strike on a car filled with civilians, killing at least 5 civilians and injuring 2 others west of Mosul in Iraqi Kurdistan. According to a statement issued by the governor of the Nineveh province in Iraq, Najm al-Jubouri, the attack happened at around 2:20 p.m. when Turkish drones dropped a bomb on a civilian vehicle. Al-Jubouri condemned the attack, arguing that such incidents can destabilize the region. He demanded that the Iraqi government take up the issue with Turkey, Rudolph reported. Iraqi Kurdistan's Counter-Terrorism Directorate as well as Turkish officials claimed that the vehicle attacked belonged to the Kurdish Workers' Party (PKK) and was carrying PKK militants. PKK-affiliated media claimed that the vehicle was carrying civilians. This was the second such attack carried out by the Turkish forces in less than a month. In an earlier attack in June, at least 4 people were killed. At the time, the Iraqi Foreign Ministry had issued a statement condemning the strike in strongest terms, claiming that the attack undermines the security of Iraq and stability of its people and requires a unified stance to be confronted, Press TV reported. Turkey has listed PKK as a terrorist organization, claiming that the PKK is responsible for attacks against civilians in Turkey. In the 1980s, PKK resisted the persecution of Kurdish minorities in Turkey. PKK demands a separate state for the Kurdish people. Turkish forces have carried out several attacks inside Syria and Iraq, claiming that the PKK uses the Kurdish majority in the region to build bases there, and that the organization carries out attacks inside Turkey from across the border. Turkish forces have attacked several villages and built their own bases in the region in order to create a buffer zone. In April of this year, Turkish forces launched their so-called Operation Clawlock inside of northern Iraq. Turkish forces have already carried out several rounds of shelling inside Syrian territories, resulting in widespread condemnation. 2 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli prisons are in critical condition as they continue to be on hunger strike to protest their illegal administrative detention. Raed Rayan and Khalil Avavdeh are on hunger strike for 103 and 16 days respectively, according to the Prisoners and Ex-Prisoners Affairs Commission. Both prisoners have developed extremely serious health complications. Rayan is reportedly showing symptoms such as blurred vision, severe pain in the head and joints, constant severe weakness and lethargy, high body temperature, weight loss, among others. Avavdeh is also experiencing symptoms such as weight loss, joint pain and severe headaches. Both prisoners have been slapped with administrative detention orders for 6 and 4 months each. 28-year-old Rayan from the town of Beit Doko in Jerusalem district was arrested on November 3, 2021 and sentenced to 6 months administrative detention, following which it was renewed once more for 6 months. He has in the past spent 21 months in administrative detention. Meanwhile, 40-year-old Avavdeh from the district of Hebron was arrested on December 27 last year. He was earlier on a 111-day-long hunger strike. His prolonged strike led to Israeli authorities giving him a verbal commitment that he will be released after his last administrative detention order period is over. But instead of releasing him, they went back on their commitment and issued another 4-month administrative detention order against him. This led to Avavdeh resuming his hunger strike 16 days ago. Avavdeh has been arrested by Israeli forces 5 times in the past, 3 of which involved him being sentenced to administrative detention, under which Israel can imprison Palestinians without charge or trial for indefinite periods of time, renewable every 4 to 6 months. Currently, there are close to 700 Palestinians in administrative detention in Israel based on secret evidence which is not revealed to the detainees or their lawyers. Human rights groups as well as the United Nations have repeatedly urged Israel to stop making use of this British colonial-era policy to illegally imprison Palestinians, asserting that it is a clear violation of international law. Moroccan security forces on July 18 violently cracked down on a protest vigil by the Democratic Way Party in front of the Ministry of Interior building. Hundreds of party workers and leaders were seen protesting in front of the ministry, raising slogans and waving flags, banners and posters. They were demanding that the government allow the party to hold its 5th National Congress, which the Moroccan regime has prevented the party from doing since January 28 this year, the date it was scheduled to be held. Moroccan security forces deployed in large numbers used violent, right-control methods to suppress and break up the protests. The party on its website stated that the violence led to many party workers, men and women, sustaining injuries. A few of them had to be transferred to hospital for further treatment of their wounds. The Moroccan government has targeted the party for persecution and all kinds of governmental attacks for many years now. The government has, in past meetings, described the party as nihilist and virulent and considers its supporting position of the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination as a danger to the regime. It also feels threatened by the party maintaining relations with the Polisario Front, which is fighting for the liberation of the Sahrawi people from Morocco, calling it an Islamist organization. The government has taken a wide variety of legal and administrative steps, such as creating obstacles for the party local units to file articles of association and renewing their boards with the local authorities, which are crucial steps in the legal constitution of the organization. The government has also blacklisted party members in collaboration with local authorities and factory and farm owners, preventing them from gaining rightful employment. In addition to repressive action by employers on members' right to work, several leaders and members of the organization have been targeted in campaigns of intimidation and persecution by the state. This persecution reached its height during the organization's campaign to boycott the elections held on September 8, 2021. The protests staged by the party in the run-up to the elections were met with brutal and violent repression by the security forces, with many party members and leaders badly beaten and arrested. And finally, a court in Brazil on Monday, July 18, ordered the removal of all false news relating to ex-president and current presidential candidate Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva from social media networks and other online platforms that accuse him of having connections with the First Command of the Capital, or PCC, a Brazilian mafia organization. The Vice President of the Superior Electoral Court, or TSC of Brazil, Alexandre de Moraes, announced the court's decision. The judge said that it was evidently clear that false and misleading news being spread about the popular left leader were attempting to influence the voters to believe that he and his party had ties to organized crime. The judge also stipulated a daily fine of 10,000 Brazilian reals, the equivalent of $1,863 for non-compliance or violation of the ruling. The fine for a repeat violation of the ruling is 15,000 reals. The ruling also prohibits social media posts linking the Workers' Party, headed by Lula, to fascism or Nazism. Among the posts in question are the one which alleges the party's involvement in the murder of a former mayor of the party. Another one spreads the malicious lie that Lula compared the poor people in Brazil to toilet paper. This kind of heinous, extremely defamatory content was reportedly mostly created and spread by profiles and pages of the supporters of current Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. It has also been shared and redistributed by several important and high-profile figures close to the president, such as his son, Senator Flavio Bolsonaro, and lawmaker Carla Zambelli. These kinds of falsehoods and disinformation significantly benefited the current president in the last election in 2018. Judge Moraes has stated that he will not tolerate any similar attitudes or content for this year's election, which is scheduled to take place in October. In August, he will be serving as the Electoral Court Chief. And that's all we have for today's episode. For more such stories, visit our website peoplesdispatch.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.